For a smaller group.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the September 9th, 2019 meeting of the ACSD Board. And as always, let's go around with a very quick round of introductions since we are a small group tonight. Oh, I know Betty's here.
Yeah. She's in the bathroom.
She stepped out of the office for a moment. Yeah.
Jen Newseater.
Jory Jacobite.
Mary Colony.
Victoria Jetty.
Peter Burrow, Superintendent.
Peter Conlon.
Lorraine Morse.
Davina Day Murray.
Go ahead.
Suzanne Buck.
We have Suzanne Buck on phone here as well.
Now you can mute if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also asked some of our new principals to come, and Michaela Whistle, who is Assistant Principal at Mary Hogan, is here, so I wanted to introduce her to the board.
Hi, everybody.
She is here
Glad to
from,
be here.
she was last in Bristol. Jory might know her. Anything you want to
Nick, can you tell us a little bit about your background and all of that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I come from, most recently, MAUSD. I was the social emotional learning coordinator for the district, and then I was a teacher at Bristol Elementary School before that. And I'm now at Mary Hogan, and I was just telling the staff today at staff meeting that it's just been a really great start, really welcoming community and really eager staff to do really great work with kids. So it's been a good start, and I'm super happy to be here.
Excellent.
Likewise.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
Before we go to public comment, just a comment on public comment, since this came up at our last meeting. The frequently asked questions that we were going to get up on the website were behind. I apologize. If Peter and Mary C. and Jen and I could just meet quickly after the meeting to find a time to kind of get those done, and so we can hopefully get those up before the end of the week, so that those will be in place. Yes, now's time for public comment, our opportunity to hear from folks who would like to say something to us. We like to do that at the start of the meeting, so in case folks have other things going on, they can say what they have to say and move along with their evening. Anybody here to say anything?
My name is Millard Cox. I'm from Ripton. I have a few points that I'd like to make. I'll be as quick as I can. One of the points I'd like to make is that I would like the board to consider revisiting the charter under which you're constituted with the view of revising it. And that's because sometimes it seems to me that perhaps the board is working more as an instrument of the state government than it is a reflection of the will of the people in the district. And I think that's mostly because it's unclear about what the will of the people in the district is. And so one of the things I'd like to see done is to revise the charter so that there's a more democratic representation in which each town elects its own representatives to represent that town on the board, and in which each of the outlying towns has 2 reps instead of just 1. Also, I'd like to see a clarification of the board's charge so that we know exactly what it is the board's supposed to be doing. In other words, is Act 46 being interpreted as intended? I mean, because in Act 46 it states that it's not the intent of Act 46 to close small schools. But then that leaves in question what the real intent of Act 46 is. I mean, it talks about equity and opportunity, but if that were clear in the charter, that would be, I think, helpful. Also, I am concerned that we don't know what each of the small towns actually wants in regard to their school. And I wonder if there isn't a way for each small town to vote as to how they're disposed toward their school. Do the majority of the people in the town want the school to stay open? Would they be okay with the school being closed? How does each town feel about that? That would give a clear message to the board, and I think it would be easier for you to move ahead because you would have a better idea about what the options are that people are already saying they would accept. Also, I'm a little bit concerned about the idea of hiring architects and engineers to decide on how consolidation is going to happen. Because what that means to me is that the building is actually considered to be the fundamental element of education, the building itself. I'd much rather see an assessment of what the needs are of the kids and their families and the town, rather than looking strictly at the buildings. So, and then that way, perhaps we could see to what extent those needs of the children and the families in the towns are being met, and to what extent they're not. And that would give us, I think, a better idea about how to proceed with consolidation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
If we go on mute, I can't hear anything.
Maybe we can mute her rather than her muting us.
No, she needs to
Well,
move.
there's a lot of crackling noise in the background, so I didn't know if you want to move or not.
Sorry, we're
Sorry, folks.
scratching from the phone.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, then moving...
Some other stuff.
Oh, okay.
I was just waiting for you guys to sort out
Yeah.
Well,
technological.
thank you.
And again, yeah, as always, give us your name and what town you're from.
My name's Steve Cash. I'm from Ripton. And just for the record, I don't know who's taking notes. It's Cash, just like Johnny.
Me, thank you. I wrote cash. I was going to ask you, though.
I saw it on the notes the last time, so.
Okay, that was Suzanne.
I think it was KASCH or something. Anyways, so I'm taking some stuff from the district newsletter that was published, and I have 4 questions, and if those could be answered now, that's great. If they're answered at a later date, that's understandable as well, but a response would be great at some point. So in the district newsletter, you said our facilities master plan process is new. Could you explain that process in greater detail to me? And also, can you explain how that process will engage stakeholders in the public? So that's question 1. Question 2, will the public/stakeholders have a chance to review the engineering/architecture report before it is included in the facilities master plan? And number 3, are the consultants slash contractors doing any work to project for a growing school district? I know right now, focused on decreased enrollment, stuff like that. I didn't know if you guys are including in that scope of work anything that thinks about when school districts start to grow again. And to kind of piggyback on that, what is the furthest into the future your expertise is going to look? Are you doing 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? And then also, going hand in hand with that, are you going to have your expertise estimate replacement costs if a school is closed and a chance that a facility was needed?
Well, so I'll just say that I think a lot of what you're asking about is coming up on our agenda as we discuss the work that we're looking at having done.
All right.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes.
Hi, Samantha Eisenberger. I live in Ripton. I just want to speak. I've been trying to get more people to get involved from other small town communities, and a lot of people have this conception that they actually don't have a voice in this process. And I have definitely felt that way a little bit as well. A lot of my questions have not been answered yet. I know you're working on a Q&A, which I appreciate, but it seems like things are moving forward, but we're still kind of left in the dark. And so a lot of people are disheartened by that and want to get involved, but they feel like it doesn't really matter. So I'm hoping to shift that perception as a collective, because I think it's important. The community does care. We're all here because we care, not to be a nuisance. Like, we really just care about the future for all small school communities. So just how to make that be more collective. Any ideas or just ways to do that moving forward, I think is important.
Thank you.
Samantha, is that B-E-R-G-E-R?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? We have a set of minutes that was included in our board pack for August 26th. So I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. And thank you. Anybody second?
Second.
All over the place. All right, any questions, changes? Anybody want to add anything in? It's the minutes from our retreat. So there was no action taken. All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Nobody.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there a chance for us to see the minutes from the retreat?
Sure, they were just approved, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure, they will be posted with all the other minutes.
They're posted.
Oh, they
They're
are
posted,
posted now?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, bills.
All right, Chip and I read bills on August 19th. General fund was $69,244.69, plus payroll of $204,876.81, for a total of $274,121.50. On September 3rd, Chip and I read bills. General fund was $158,299.65, with payroll of $869,780, for a total of $1,028,079.65. And today, Betty and I signed bills. General fund of $85,104.96. with payroll of $18,772.95, for a total of $103,877.91. I move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Moved and seconded to pay the bills as presented. Any questions? I guess I should ask. It's moved and seconded. Any questions? None, then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We paid the bills, thank you. And are you guys doing fine for always having two available to?
Yeah,
Okay.
now that we're back in school, it's even easier.
Okay. We have the report of the superintendent, printed with your board pack materials with a breakdown of each bit of school news. Is there anything you were looking to highlight in there?
I think, as I maybe have mentioned previously, I feel like this year was a really incredible start to the school year. We have been working so hard on building systems for many years, and we've talked about that to the board many times and have presented kind of as we go through stages. It feels like the start of this year has been one of some of those systems coming to maturity, and it's been really perceptible on lots of different levels. Got lots of great feedback about what happened at the start of the year, and we're really building around inclusion and really kind of staff being aware of where they are, as well as kind of learning how to do teaching and learning, and kind of a real focus on self-awareness as well, which I think is really important in this work, and is critical if we're going to really have the systems that we're developing come alive. there's a lot in the report about all the things that are happening at our schools. We've got 4 great new leaders. We've got 1 here in the audience and 3 others that are going to come at our next board meeting. And it feels like the collective work that we've been doing as a larger community is really making change. So it's been an exciting start.
Any questions on the report? I think it would be great to, I was reading a lot about all the sort of student-focused health program, health center at the high school.
Yep.
I think it'd be great to kind of get a presentation on that at some point. Seems like there's a lot there. Maybe we should time it when we can go and take a walk around and see what's there as well.
We've got the Wellness Center, which we created, but we also have the School-Based Health Center, which is coming in December.
Okay.
So that might be a good time, as
Great.
that School-Based Health Center is just opening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Yes, Maureen?
I would just make a comment, which Peter and I were talking about earlier. I appreciated that Jen included the board in an invitation to the open house at Mary Hogan, and I'm not sure how much the schools reach out to the public at large about open houses, but even as a board member that doesn't have kids in the schools anymore, I feel awkward about going, and I think it would be really great if they're not reaching out more to the community at large, if the schools did that, so people who don't have kids maybe would feel interested in going to the open houses and seeing what's happening in the schools.
Yeah, I mean, I think traditionally, open houses have been designed around classrooms and around bringing parents into the classroom, but I think that would be neat to have an open house without that focus of parent meeting teacher, but more, community meeting school. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, Jory?
I just want to share my appreciation for your message when you went elementary school to elementary school. I know that it really resonated with my 3rd grader. Just the idea of moving beyond what happens in the classroom and moving beyond inquiry and into action and finding a way to make an impact on your community and bringing people together. It was a really powerful message that set a good tone for making some goals this year around real change.
Cool.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
I assume there's a similar message at each school as you went through?
Yeah, so I put out a superintendent's challenge, and the challenge is to have students pick something that they want to invest time into, something that maybe will take some time, and to move from inquiry into taking action and making an impact on their community. And then I'm going to go back in the spring to every classroom in ACSD, at least at the elementary level, and celebrate what they did with them. And I'm not sure what they're going to get, so I haven't figured that part out yet. But
I mean, as a prize?
yeah, like some kind of, the celebration can't just be me walking into a room. Right? It's got to be bigger than that.
If dressed as a clown, what if you dressed as a clown?
Then we're going a little too far that way, maybe.
Shave your head.
Shave a portion of my head in each classroom, yeah. I'm sure there are lots of good ideas out there.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, we had propane last meeting, and today, fuel oil. Very exciting.
Okay. Bruce, Brittany?
It's a cold one. So we went out to bid for fuel. We had 3 bidders. The low bid was Champlain Valley Fuels. They have had our fuel oil bid for probably 5 years or so. They were cheapest by a 15-cent margin. We don't have any concerns about their service or their contracts, so I would recommend awarding the bid to Champlain Valley Fuel. And I would recommend the fixed price rate over the pre-buy rate. Mostly because the initial capital outlay for the pre-buy is about $100,000, and it would only save us about $2,000. And at this time of year, while we wait for tax revenues to come in, we can get a bit of cash for. So I would recommend the fixed price rate.
And the fixed price rate means at least it'll stay at $215 for the year,
Exactly.
as opposed to the pre-buy, which is $210.
Yeah. So with the pre-buy, we have to pay
Everything up front.
Everything up front,
Yeah.
exactly. Which we did with propane, but that's a much smaller.
Right.
So like less than 50% of the dollar value.
All right, would somebody make a motion then to award the fuel oil bid to Champlain Valley Fuels at the fixed price of $2.15 a gallon?
So
All
moved.
right, I'll make that motion.
Okay, we'll let you. Victoria, you want to second it?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay.
Any other questions about this? Do we, I guess we don't, obviously we don't get a bid on natural gas because there's only one supplier.
That's right.
And it's regulated.
Yep.
Okay. At this point, are we buying oil for any of the schools in Middlebury, or are they all on natural
We
gas?
do buy oil for them because sometimes we have, it's interruptible service, right?
Okay,
But we primarily use natural gas, and it has been quite a savings.
okay. Yeah, so is that sort of a requirement of natural gas services that you have a backup source?
Not a requirement, but you get a much better rate if you have a backup source.
Oh, okay. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to award the bid to Champlain Valley at $2.15 a gallon, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Bid awarded. Okay. Piece of paper to hand out here. If you take one and pass it down, Lorraine, and there's some extras if you wouldn't mind passing along to the folks in the audience, that'd be great. So what we have here is essentially a kind of a schedule for the study put together by David Epstein.
Do you want these to go out there?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Everybody,
This isn't number 2, right?
what's that?
This isn't facility
It's
information.
facilities committee formation
Oh,
would
yeah.
happen as a result of this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah,
This is a
right.
prelude.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, so this is kind of a, thank you, a study framework as proposed, and, lays out a kind of a schedule for between now and a hope for wrapping up by the end of February. As you'll see on this kind of proposed schedule, and again, this is tentative by looking at this and sort of nodding, looks good. That's not to say that we're going to be able to hit every deadline, sort of like with the facilities master plan as well. These are sort of a goal. But of course, one thing it calls for is for the technical folks to work with the facilities committee of the board. It would consist of 3 board members, probably I would imagine Bruce and Peter, Brittany maybe, the administration side of things probably still to be developed. So if we look at it, it sort of talks about the responsibilities that we, the school district, have to kind of make this process happen, and then what the experts would do as part of their process, including meeting with the facilities committee to update, to pursue further guidance, and ultimately to kind of come up with a full report to the board toward the end. Somebody have any questions on these? It's a concept of a schedule, but I think that, time's ticking away. So in terms of the facilities committee, I've asked, so I've sent kind of committee requests out to most people, not everybody, because some people, I think, are where they are, and it's working fine. But because we have to create this new committee, we also have negotiations about to start up. We can talk about the other committee assignments later. But I've asked Chip to be part of this. He, of course, went through this process with the middle school creation and the renovation of the high school. Victoria is also part of a finance team, and then Jory as well, both as an educator and a resident of a rural community. And then the members of the administration who would be part of that as well. And one thing I will say is, I know that among the board members, there's been a lot of interest in these committee meetings, and of course, all committee meetings are open, and everybody is welcome to hear the updates and whatnot. And
There aren't quorum issues as far as?
we'll investigate. I don't think so, as long as it's warned and
Okay.
and essentially people are just there as audience members and not part of the actual voting for whatever voting takes place. And Peter, what were you thinking from the administrative end for this committee?
So I think it would be definitely Bruce. I think Brittany and I can have a conversation to see, but just in thinking about bonding and other things, it may be helpful to have Brittany on it as well. And then I think I would be, so I don't think we need more than the three of us.
Okay. And I think that we're going to think about this as meeting 8 times and probably outside of our usual committee time. That is just to make everybody's schedule kind of come together, including the experts, that this would probably not be on the second meeting Monday of each month, probably at a different time. So just throwing that out there so that everybody knows. Any thoughts that folks have about that? Does that seem like a good plan in terms of creating a facilities committee moving forward? So we would now have a negotiations committee, a finance committee, a policy committee, community engagement committee, and a facilities committee. And of course, if you do the math, it's going to require some of us to double up. Victoria and Chip would be staying on the finance side of things, but of course, the rest of the board is willing to pitch in on covering bills and that work as well. So I know we have this down as an action, and I think that it'd probably be a good thing to sort of vote to create, it is a new committee, vote to create a facilities committee featuring 3 board members as a committee of the board.
I move to create a facilities committee that includes 3 members of the board.
All right. And is a committee of the board.
And is a committee of the board.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anybody have?
Jory?
Jory, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on this, further discussion? I think it's great to get things rolling. Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so just keep an eye out for updates. The committee meetings will be warned in the usual style. So we just, it's just another step in the process. And thank you all for being willing to serve. So let's talk a little bit more about committee formation. With the start of a new school year, the creation of a new committee seemed to be an opportune time to kind of take another look at where we are. I've sent out some emails to folks asking if they'd be willing to serve here or there. So some of the changes I've asked people about, and everybody has responded positively. Negotiations, Lorraine and I will continue on, and Davina has agreed to join us on that. Yeah, it was very nice of her. And that will be kicking off in earnest soon. I think we're supposed to, by the end of November, know what's going on at the state level in terms of insurance. Then we'll get really heavy into it, but there's a lot of preliminary work that needs to be done as well. Peg and Mary staying on policy, and I've asked Suzanne if she wouldn't mind joining that committee as well. given the fact that she does a lot of work in policy. For those of you who don't know, the Hannaford Career Center runs on a policy governance method of governance with the board, and so the importance of policy there is kind of big deal, and be good for us to keep thinking about the importance of policy as we move forward. Gave Amy a break from negotiations, since when she came on, I kind of threw her on that last time. She and Mary and Betty and Jen will continue on community engagement. Geez, I don't know if I've forgotten anybody here. And yeah, so anyway, appreciate everybody doing that. We'll get our committee work sort of back on schedule with our second meeting of each month on the fourth Monday. And yes?
Who's the third finance person? Chip and
Betty.
Oh, Betty.
Oh, Betty's, so Betty's
Yeah.
also on engagement, community engagement and finance?
Well, I have my notes, so it's hard for me to keep everything straight. Betty has been on, let me see what I had here. Victoria, Chip, and I guess if Betty is willing to continue, because I didn't fill out that third spot on finance, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure.
Thank you. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Jen, yes?
Yeah. I'm just thinking, so I'm not sure what our committee's called at this point, because it was planning and engagement with
Yeah.
the facilities master plan piece. So I'm not sure if it's going, sort of focusing back to just the community engagement with obviously a focus on
Oh.
communication with the facilities master plan piece.
Yeah.
Or if the kind of the call of our committee's changing a bit.
Well, I think that we can go with the full name, it's fine by me, I was just saving a mouthful.
Okay.
And I guess it does sort of reflect that, you know, as our work evolves, I think that there's, as we talked about at the retreat, that we need to do, you know, get out there and kind of step up our ability to let folks know what's going on and where we are in the process, especially as the process continues to evolve and change. So, yeah, I think that a lot of that will be really up for the committee to look at.
Okay.
The planning, sort of the bigger piece process is now sort of in the facilities committee work.
Right.
But then as that comes out and we want to, you know, create a more public process with it, you know, I think that it'll sort of be moving back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. But a lot of that, you know, your thoughts when your committee meets in 2 weeks would be great.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of I'll suggest that as one of our agenda items
Yeah.
to kind of regroup and refocus.
Yeah.
I was going to do that anyway, but this is a real reason to do that.
Yeah, that's great. All right, and then why don't we give a little update as to the negotiations development process? You want to sort of walk through the schedule on some of that?
Sure. So we just finished last year, one-year contracts for both our support staff and our our teachers. And we are now moving into our next round of negotiations. We could only do one-year contracts due to the change in healthcare at the state level. We will be getting that information hopefully shortly in terms of what the final determination is on what the statewide healthcare will be for education employees. And we will start to begin to meet with both the support staff and the teachers and build either a 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year contract agreement with them. The process generally is a fairly long one. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. And we begin by talking about as a committee what are some of the goals and objectives we have going into the next contract. Often both sides will look at the contract and one side will want to move something in one way or change language, and so it's a lot of conversation back and forth and working together to hopefully find something that works for everyone. And that process really will be starting in earnest October, November. So we're right on the heels of it here. Anything else?
Just to, go ahead.
When the information you're expecting to get from the state on, when you said what healthcare, are you getting numbers or just
We're going to
what
get the whole
plan?
package. We'll
You get the whole
get
thing.
numbers and the package. But that's being pulled out of negotiations now, so it would be
Right.
interesting going into this next round to not have that as one of the bargaining chips. That has been one of the big, levers
Right,
in
right.
the negotiations process. Now that that's gone, it will change negotiations for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. But it's still a reality for the board. If healthcare goes up 15%, which is not out of the ordinary, that's a huge impact on the budget. So it's still looming in the background. It's still an impact, but we're not talking about who's covering what in
Right.
negotiations.
Right.
Yeah, and of
So
course,
the figure still figures in.
It still figures in, yeah.
and it's just, I think that if you look at teachers' contracts across the state, when it comes to healthcare, they're not wildly different. And it'll probably come in close to maybe what we're doing and what what most schools are doing. When you come into the support staff contracts across the state, they are all over the place. And that's the part that's going to be very challenging as to how you balance one with the other. And for those of you who are interested, if you want to know sort of the status of things, you can go to the Vermont School Boards Association website. I think they got a link to the work of the school board side of things and a kind of a status report as to where the negotiations stand, which is they stand in the sense that they basically went to impasse, and I think they're at fact-finding. But there's a hard deadline, so this is not something that can be drawn out. So it'll ultimately be decided by the Labor Relations Board. I can't remember who has ultimate imposition
I don't remember, yeah.
of what it will be. Yeah, I should know that. Anyway, so it's going to be a new dynamic as we go into this, as Peter was saying. On the other hand, it'll be really nice that we don't have to become experts in what every healthcare plan is, to the extent that we used to have to.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about HSA and HRA, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And for when we went through the last round, since it was just a one-year contract, we really stuck to just the salary and benefits issues and just a few smaller issues. Now we'll probably end up opening up a lot of the details of the contract, and that'll take a long time to sort of work through piece by piece. So we've kind of gone through, with our lack of a robust group of board members here, gone through the agenda. A couple things that I just wanted to mention is that we have the Vermont School Boards Association regional meeting coming up September 24th, you remember?
25th.
25th.
Yeah.
Normally, it's been at Otter Valley because they've kind of combined Addison County and Rutland together. This year, we have our own right at the high school. It's a nice opportunity to meet our board members from the rest of the county. There's usually an update from the VSBA folks as to sort of what the VSBA's board priorities are for the upcoming year. That often means the upcoming legislative session as well. And kind of they talk about looming issues and also opportunities that are coming up. But it's a very valuable time, and having it here is really nice.
Yes.
You would agree?
We used to have it here once in a while, but
Yeah.
it haven't in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's been here
Yeah, not
in
for
a long time.
Not for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah. And just, I'm not sure if people are up for re-election. We have regional delegates to the VSBA board. They currently come from Mount Abe and Virgins, and we don't have anybody from this district. It's not a great burden. I'm not sure if anybody is, the two or three who
I
are.
don't think anybody is, but I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
okay,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. They didn't
Yeah.
say anything in here.
But I think one of the things that they did was push to have another meeting within Addison County, which I thought was a very nice change.
Yeah.
That's an evening meeting?
Yes.
Like 5 o'clock, I
Are we
think.
supposed to sign up ahead of time or something for that one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's usually a sign up online.
yeah, you go on the VSBA website.
Yeah, and everybody should have an email about it in
It's
your
free.
ACSD. It's free, dinner is served.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
free, is it?
Well, yeah,
The
they-
district pays for it.
Yeah, it's part of our dues.
Yeah, no, it's part of your dues,
We
but
don't
I
have-
don't think there's a single,
I mean, we don't have to pay for it.
no, but what I'm saying is I don't remember there being a cost when you sign up.
Right.
There's just sign up.
Yeah.
No,
You don't
just sign
have to
up.
put in
No,
any.
no.
It's a very simple
Yeah.
buffet meal. I think it's just sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get excited, but it is, but it's there. And then, do we have yet a listing of our upcoming meeting locations? Has that been worked out? Are we on the
I feel
same
like
schedule?
we
Yeah, 'cause
do.
it's on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've all,
It's in the calendar,
Yeah, it's on
isn't
the
it?
calendar.
okay,
Yeah.
great. So for everybody else, what we generally do is the first meeting of the month, which is on the second Monday. Once the school year starts, we hold our meetings in different schools around the district. The second meeting of the month, which is on the fourth Monday, we will continue to have here. Usually begins with committee meetings beforehand, and then a general board meeting afterward. The general board meeting starts at 7:30 as opposed to 6:30.
October is in Salisbury.
Our next first meeting of the month will be in Salisbury, in the October, second Monday of October meeting, Salisbury. Thank you. Does anybody else?
About two-step authentication.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question because I'm unable to.
Okay.
Yeah. Will, would you like to take the floor and tell us about two-step authentication and what we need to know?
Sure. So we started talking about it last spring, I guess it was. I learned about it as far as school districts doing this. It's not new news. If you've been doing any online banking or something, you've been probably doing it for a while. But I went to Vermont Fest down in Rutland, and the Champlain Valley School District has started doing it. They actually had a presentation about it where they talked about implementing it at the school district level. So after looking into it, seemed like the right thing to do. We started putting out warnings, set it up voluntarily last spring, and periodic reminders. Didn't reach everybody, but we ended up with about 50% of the district staff signing up voluntarily. So if you haven't done it yet, there's a lot of different ways to set up your second step. It could be text message, a prompt on your phone if you have a Gmail app, or a USB key where you just have to press a button on the outside. You could even get a landline phone call if you really wanted to, but most people are doing the USB key or getting a text or getting a prompt on their phone. And if you haven't set it up yet, you may try to get into your email and it'll say you don't meet security requirements. So then it's just a matter of contacting us in IT, and we will move your account to a different place in the place that we manage them. So it's not restricted. And we'll let you set it up, we'll help you set it up, and then we'll move your account back to the restricted area. So it will apply to your account. There's no time limit on this. We're just going to be chipping away at it as fast as we can. But it's a good way to prevent somebody from getting your credentials, because that's really what the bad guys are after these days. Is they're phishing. They're just today there was people getting email from a fake Peter Burrows account, and they're just trying to get personal information so they can maybe get into our accounting.
They have bad grammar, though. It's not
Well,
me.
yeah, we're not great at it, but it's happening on a almost a daily basis. So they're targeting the leadership.
Did you get one from me,
They're
Becky?
thinking about this. This isn't just a random thing. They're studying the school district. They're looking at the website, trying to figure out who the leaders are, and then creating bogus accounts, sending it to other teachers, just fishing around for information. So this is a good way. Even if somebody gets your password, they still can't get into your email account without that second step, whether it be having your phone or having your USB key. So it's a start.
So we need to actually pick up the phone and call to make this happen? Is it?
No,
No.
that's one way to do it. I could walk you through it on the phone.
Yeah.
I can resend the directions to you. But
We have the
basic thing is
keys, too, that we can
As I talked
pass
to Jen
out.
earlier, I need to know who can't get in.
Yeah.
And, because I don't have any way to know who can't.
Okay.
So,
So what's the best number to call to talk with IT about this process?
382-1284. And we do have the USB keys here now, if somebody has a computer.
Do you want to just talk them through how to use this, just verbally? I know it's in the directions, but.
Okay, so we've got these USB keys here. It's a very simple device. It's not a storage device, although it looks like a memory stick. And you have to get into the settings of your Gmail account, which if you're locked out, that's where you're not going to be able to go right now. But it's actually buried several layers deep in the settings where you need to get to in order to change, to set up two-factor authentication. So it's a matter of clicking through like 5 screens to be able to get to the point where you turn it on and it prompts you about, how do you want to do this? The default way that it wants to do it is through a text message. So there would be a place to put your phone number in. But just down below that, there is a link to try another method. And when you click on that, that's when you're presented with all the different methods to do it, one of which is the USB key. If you choose that method, you go through a couple screens where you're clicking next, and it will ask you to put the USB key in a USB port and press the button on the outside of it, and then you're done. We have it set up so it will remember your device. So on a computer, once you register your device, then as long as you stay signed into your Gmail account or your Google account, you don't have to continually do this. So we could have done that, but we figured this was a big enough step to start with. So it will remember your device. If you manually sign out of your Google account, then you do have to have your second step available to you. It does allow you to have like a plan B. So if you don't happen to have your USB key with you, but you have the Gmail app on your smartphone, then you can click try another way, and you'll see your phone there as an option, and you can just tap yes on your phone, which I actually think is the easiest way to do it, just to put the Gmail app on your phone. But there's always a second way, so it's not like if you lose the key, you'll never get into your account. So, and we can always unrestrict somebody's account so we can get into it and then move it again, so it's safe.
I have one quick question, just personal. I changed my password for my ACSD VT account. Then, of course, I promptly forgot it. Then I clicked on forgot my password, and it basically said, sorry, we can't help you. So that I assume is going to require a phone call.
You're asking for a friend, right?
Yeah.
We can't see what people's passwords are, but we can reset them.
Yep.
And I think, I haven't talked to Peter about this, but I think in the coming year, we're probably going to put password change requirements on our Google accounts on a more frequent basis.
Yeah.
We don't have anything right now, and that's not very good security practice, so we haven't talked about the time frame.
Right.
But
Yep. So
3 to 6 months probably.
I got a text from Mary Cullinane earlier, or late last week, asking me why I was asking her to buy me Walmart gift cards.
Which I was in the line at Walmart.
I know.
I got out of the line after he
Synchronicity.
said, don't do that.
Is that what I was asking for, Betty, in my email to you as well?
No, it said you needed help urgently with something, that you were in a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, so it's just similar.
That's what they used for me today, that Bill was saying.
Change my direct deposit information. That's another one.
Yeah, that's a common.
They'll send. Peter sends it quite often.
Yeah, I'm a prolific emailer, what can I say?
It seems like something you would email your staff.
Yeah, definitely.
You're not twittering around.
All right. Yes, Betty.
So I was gonna ask about the status of the Q&A on the website.
Yeah.
Is that, happening?
Yeah, you were out of the room for a moment when I actually announced, yes, we are running late. My hope is that we'll get it up there before the end of the week. Yeah, it's just a matter of trying to get 4 great minds together to make it happen. All right, motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Or you don't have.